We are very happy to have with us today Mr. Eric Lim, Sales Director from SoftBank Robotics Singapore. Eric has over 14 years of experience in commercial development within the technology industry and currently heads the commercial development for SoftBank Robotics Singapore. Prior to joining SoftBank Robotics, Eric has worked with various corporations within artificial intelligence, B2B enterprise solutions, as well as co-founded 2 startups. Without further ado, I'll hand the floor over to Eric, who will be sharing with you on the ABCs of Pandemic Accelerated Industry 4.0, AI, Big Data, and Data Analytics. Eric, it's all yours.
Hi, a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking time to be with me today for me to share about the ABCs of Pandemic Accelerated Industry 4.0. Sounds like a very big title, but in actual fact, I'll just share some simple examples of technology implementation revolving around AI, artificial intelligence, big data, and data analytics, and how this could potentially give you a perspective on technology shaping your business. So I think through the morning session, I'm sure everybody have heard of how COVID-19 have brought about disruptive changes to our lives. Many jobs are displaced in 2020. While 2021 is expected to be a recovery year, it may still not be pre-COVID days. And in my personal view, there are some irreversible changes that have already been made. So a few examples are, with the combination of a lower consumption rate, the change in consumption behavior, for example, from the brick and mortar world to accelerate into the digital world, and many other factors. We see that many different roles are already impacted. So it can range from reduced work time to furlough to displacement. Yet on some different ends, we see that on certain frontline essential workers, they are suffering. Now, when they are suffering, it could be from emotional, physical, mental stress. It could be because of the situational constraints. It could be the extra long hours that they have to put in during the pandemic. But they are, I think, with this regards, right, we are in an unprecedented situation, and business owners are citing many different operational challenges that they are facing. It could be difficulty in hiring frontline workers due to their perceived risk, or the expected increase in costs moving forward with more stringent business conditions. All in all, I think this brings about the need for both the employers and employees to seriously review the opportunities for digitalization, the upgrading. And I feel that the conference title is super befitting in the current market situation, adapt to adapt, right? So we really need to adapt in order to be relevant. So the need for digitalization, right, it's not a hypothesis. It's not something that we just observe or based on a gut intuition. So in this study done by McKinsey, Asia Pacific have actually experienced a 10+ years adoption acceleration compared to pre-COVID-19 days. What it means is that due to the COVID-19 situation, Asia Pacific companies have accelerated their adoption of digital. And this is equivalent to a 10 years progression. And this is a very big change. In my personal opinion, this is one of the digital leaps. And one of the prominent areas for the adoption of technology is the deployment of robotics and automation solutions. So why so? That's because with the situational constraint, a lot of the developed countries have shrinking workforce, have operational situational constraints. There is an increasing need that companies realize that they need to find a way to continue their business operation without highly dependent on the traditional operations that they used to observe. So some of the automation solution sweet spots that we are observing pre-COVID-19 is logistics and professional cleaning. And given that this pandemic have changed our consumption behavior, so a lot of e-commerce still happening, 11/11 just passed, and I can assure you there are a lot of purchase going on. Also, with the pandemic, people are more aware of sanitation and cleanliness. There's also an increase in expected service delivery, not just from expectation, but also from government regulation. I believe the trend for automation and adoption within these 2 segments is bound to continue. So logistics and professional cleaning is definitely the segments moving forward. However, I think for the purpose of our sharing today, let's look at some of the common implementation of robotic solution in the business setting, not just limiting ourselves to logistics and professional cleaning. So I think we can all agree, right, in this COVID-19 situation, it makes us realize once again how heroic the healthcare workers are, but it also makes us realize how vulnerable they are too, especially in situations where human-to-human transmission is prevalent. So they are at the front. They are at the front helping us to overcome this pandemic, and I would like to take the opportunity to show my gratitude to them. Having said that, we also need to understand that moving forward, what are we going to do to improve the situation? And like it or not, this thing may occur again. So what we need to do is to be ready for the future. So robotic solution is not only a viable and sustainable solution to think about elevating some workload from the healthcare workers, but it can also potentially minimize the risk to susceptible populations such as seniors. So one of the example on the left, which is a humanoid robot made by SoftBank Robotics called Pepper. And in 2018, the Japanese government actually took on a huge project to help fill up a projected shortfall of 380,000 specialized workers within the elder care segment. So what they did was they actually rolled out a lot of initiatives to encourage robotics adoption. And there's currently more than 500 elder care homes in Japan right now that actually implemented Pepper and humanoid robots to provide interactive engagements with the elderly residents, such as to teaching them how to dance, sing songs, speak with them, and things like that. So beyond just interactive engagement, right, robotics can also perform very advanced healthcare services. Like, for example, the WG system actually allows advanced precision surgery to be done using prosthetic and robotics arm. And there's actually rehab robots that can allow rehab workers to perform much better rehab programs using prosthetics and robotics exoskeletons. And what it does is that not only can it be fine-tuned to a more granular format, because robotics like this can have many, many sensors inside, right? So the amount of data collection is more than the traditional way of just doing post-service study. So with the real-time data that is being received, the caregiver can actually implement more customized rehab program, and this will bring about a better improvement in the service delivery. Beyond just healthcare, I think we can safely say that this Singapore's COVID-19 situation actually made us realize that one of the segment that needs improvement will be the foreign workers. And Singapore is a country with almost 300,000 work permit holders within the construction sector, which accounts for over 25% of the foreign workforce in the professional sector. So this sector is going to change, that's for sure. And what we need to look at is that from a technology perspective, how can we look at increasing their productivity? So it can be as simple as implementing heavy lifting solutions such as mill, which can lift heavy cinder blocks. On the right side, you see that there's a exoskeleton implementation, which is a different usage of exoskeleton technology that can reduce the harmful impact of heavy machinery operation of construction workers. Beyond just these two assistive solutions, there can also be automated solutions. Like, for example, there's bricklaying robots out there. In Singapore, we have our homegrown automated painting machine, and there's also 3D construction printer to do on-demand building. So all in all, I think from a builder's perspective, there is a lot of opportunities for productivity gain, for automation. And as a consumer, we can definitely bring about a faster turnaround of the building to be done. It can also bring about a cheaper environment for us to acquire houses, because it means that we are less reliant on the traditional human worker, and they can then value add into more value-adding and non-mundane tasks. So earlier I was mentioning that there was a newly enforced mandatory cleaning guideline that was announced by Singapore government authorities in October. So with the emphasis of higher sanitation standards, the burden on the janitorial workforce is definitely going to be heavier. And let's not forget that some of the workplaces are still on BCP, Business Continuity Plan, and it also applies to the workers working there. So that means that traditionally this facility may have 10 workers. Now they probably have 5 on each day. So coupled with the increased service demand, so more and more higher frequency of disinfection needs to be done, higher cleanliness needs to be done. plus the fact that there's a lower workforce working on each occasion, I think we can safely say that this is going to be a much higher challenge in terms of the operational process, right? So robotics, what they can do is that they can help to assist in some of the repetitive, mundane tasks, such as floor cleaning. So on the left, we have one of SoftBank Robotics vacuum sweeper that can sweep around soft flooring. On the right, there is your hard flooring scrubber. Other than just floor cleaning, there can be window cleaning, there can be aircon duct cleaning, and not only so, right? Robotics can not just provide elevation of mundane tasks, but it also can help to deliver services that traditionally was very, very difficult to deliver. So one of the cases will be the usage of ultraviolet C, UVC in short, to perform sanitation and disinfection on a confined space. So UVC is a ultraviolet type ray, and it is actually harmful to humans for a prolonged period of exposure. So traditionally, workers have to wear very protective PPE and to take a UVC wand and shine around the area, right? But that is neither effective in terms of the productivity standpoint, but also it is very difficult to perform it on a very high frequency basis. So with the implementation of autonomous mobile robot, AMR in short, it allows the users to implement this such sanitation work on a much higher frequency and at a very, very low risk to the operator. So robotics in many ways is a very obvious impact that you will see from artificial intelligence. So many a times the robots that you are seeing in the market, right, they are not just a plastic machine moving around and what we call it a dummy device. It actually has some form of end computing whereby it can calculate obstacles, it can calculate routes, and it can move by itself, So that's where we will interact with AI very, very obviously. But beyond just artificial intelligence, there are also many different technologies that influence the viability of robotic solution. That will be IoT, Internet of Things in short, 5G connectivity, where the connectivity of machines will enable large amount of coordination, large amount of complex data computing, etc., etc. So what I was trying to show that is that technology has come to a point whereby there is very realistic, very tangible, and very cost-effective manner to implement technological solution in day-to-day operations. It is no longer, like the Hollywood movie, right? Minority Report, whereby we do very fanciful things, but it has no business impact. So this is not true. In today, technology solution is very real, but by itself, right, it cannot work. Why so? Because it needs the right skill set and the mindset of the employer and employees. So let's take a look at the importance of a mindset. So I think there are many points to consider when it comes to a successful digital transformation in a company. So there needs to be a change mindset, be it from the employee standpoint or from an employee standpoint. From an employee standpoint, I will touch on today, will be the need to reevaluate the value add your human workforce can bring about and how they can provide competitive advantage in your business. To summarize, it will be how your human worker can provide you with competitive advantage during this digital transformation. For employees, there is a need to adapt to this new digital transformation that your company is employing, and think about how business process can be redesigned and how business innovation can occur. And all in all, this is what we can call critical ingredients to ensure that digital transformation is going to be a success. So recently, NTUC LearningHub has recently published a very insightful white paper about data skill sets in it. If you have not seen it, I think you should go and take a look at it. And there is a growing trend among both employees and employees that understand the importance of data literacy and the direct impact to business success. So while we talk about employers evaluating workforce value add, while we look at employees developing cognitive skill set, as well as the combination of abundance of technology available for deployment, I think the audience here may have questions like, is there an example of such implementation? Must such implementation be occurring in high-tech industry? What if it's a traditional industry? So let's look at how such an implementation can be done in the traditional industry. And for the purpose of our sharing, right, it will be in the environmental services or cleaning to be short. So contrary to what some people might think, right, the cleaning industry is not a broom and mop industry. The clean industry these days is in the midst of a transformation. The whole industry is in the midst of transformation. So why so? Because there is an increased service demand, both in terms of the client's perspective and in terms of regulatory demand. There is a shrinking workforce, so there are less and less people that are coming into this industry, as well as there's the aging population. So all these combination combined, right? It means that operators need to rethink how they are offering services and to include automation solution in their arsenal. So when we talk about automation solution, it can range from as simple things as facility and crew management software. So there's an app on your smartphone, or there's a simple clocking app to talk about time and efficiency, all the way to data connected robotics, such as WIS on the left. So when we look at WIS, right, this is not just a solution of a robot. It needs to combine with a fleet monitoring platform or a data illustrative platform. And in our case, we call it WIS Connect. So what WIS Connect allows is that it allows the operator to track fleet activity, collect data on cleaning, track return on investment, and last but not least, the most important part, to make a service auditable and tangible. So what it means, right, is that we are able to show service clients that, hey, this area have been cleaned, how much time have been cleaned, and how often are we cleaning it. So in the past, right, for people who are aware, it's taking a logbook and creating a ticks, right, or making marks saying that, oh, I have certified I've cleaned this area. But to be honest, nobody is auditing it, right? So for a solution like this, it creates a proof that this area has been done and it cannot be disputed. So the key thing that we would like to take away is that we are tangibilizing service, and we are also providing new ways of providing services. And I think one of the important things is that as a brand owner, we need to partner with training organizations in order to provide the know-how, and we have partnered with NTUC LearningHub to train users of this perspective. So some of the things that we observe is that we teach the operators to understand how to measure cleaning efficiency, how to measure efficiency. We also teach the users how to understand where are the low-hanging fruits to do the elevating of the mundane tasks, and then to look at areas whereby they can redeploy the time save. Like, for example, can it be done for more vertical disinfection work and stuff like that. So to wrap up, right, there are three things that if you were to take away today, it will be, first of all, there's a need to evaluate your current business to identify areas for improvement for competitive advantage. It's not just to solve a business problem, it is for a competitive advantage. The second thing is that just getting the solution is not good enough. It needs to be a total package whereby the workforce is equipped to not only implement, but also to create a competitive advantage, thinking about where the improvement can be made. And last but not least, right, COVID-19 has brought a new norm. And this new norm is displacement, disruption. But on the high side, there's also a lot of improvement and digital leap that we are talking about. So can we look at this change in a positive manner and change to adapt? So thank you very much for your time, and happy to take on any questions during the panel discussion. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric, so much for the wonderful sharing. Now that we have a better understanding of the ABCs of the pandemic accelerated industry, I'm pleased to announce our next speaker, Mr. Ang Boon Wen, Design Director and Chief Opportunity Officer from Aleph, Singapore, who will be sharing with you on transforming your company for a low-touch economy. Boon Wen is a multidisciplinary hands-on design leader at Aleph, crafting solutions through research, insights, technology, and big ideas. His journey has seen him through various perspectives and verticals of design, from making things beautiful, to ROI, to communications, to problem solving, and future-proofing businesses through impact and value. Without further ado, I'll hand the floor over to Poon Wen. It's all yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
You can, right? Perfect. And can you see my screen share as well?
Yes, we can as well.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for making some time. Today's topic of conversation would be transforming your company for a low-touch economy. But before we go there, just a quick introduction about who I am and what I do. And I think let's enjoy the ride throughout this call. My name is Poon. Very nice to meet you. I am a classically trained designer, which I am a design thinker. And I also value research and human-driven strategy in order to increase impact for businesses and outcomes as well. And I'm from this company called Aleph. We are a creative engineering company. And again, thank you so much for joining us. So we are a creative engineering company. We were born in Singapore in 2006. And what we do on a day-to-day basis is designing innovative solutions. Now, we are a bunch of hands-on strategists, design thinkers, innovators, and we have a track record of doing some delightful work that you might or might not recognize. Here are some of the projects that we do. Now, what in short, we frame problems and roadmap strategy and solutions. We also design and engineer beautiful experiences. And we partner all kinds of organizations from small startups across FSI, telcos, all the way to creating software, mobile solutions, and web solutions. And we do it all through creative engineering, which is a subset of strategy and design, applying content, branding, research, UI, UX, design thinking, and then implementing it in all forms of technology. That's a little bit about that, but back to today's conversation, transforming your company for a low-touch economy. So what is this low-touch economy that we are talking about, right? So this talk or this presentation will go through what is low-touch, why low-touch, why is it important, going into the first theme about going really low, second theme about creating immersive experiences, third theme about how to use those immersive experiences to identify business opportunities, and at the end, they're standing out. And we've got a little bit of a key takeaway at the end on how you can take this back into your everyday lives. So long story short, things are changing. I'd like to start it off with that statement. Things are changing, and they are changing relatively rapidly. And why is this? This is all thanks to the pandemic. And the outcome of that is that we are exponentially disrupted. People and economy is permanently changed. And this is because we cannot do a lot of face-to-face interactions. It started off like that. And based on that, there are increased health and safety measures. And my quick takeaway out of this is that low touch is here to stay. Now, what has this done is that travel and mobility restrictions are now in place. There's loss of income, consumerism, and spending behaviors are changed, as well as face-to-face behaviors are getting replaced by a video call, such as the one we're having right now. But if we want to look into what is low touch in a nutshell is an economy without face-to-face interactions. So which means it is basically a digital economy. It is remote, and it has changed and will change the way that we work and operate. So think about things like Lazada when you want to buy your groceries. Think about the next meeting that you're going to have on Zoom or similar channels. Think about that self-check-in kiosk and everything else that does not involve a human-to-human interaction. Let's all call this low-touch economy. And if we look at why low-touch is important, is that it increases operational efficiency, I think. We saw that just now. It also allows you to have a bigger reach to the rest of the world just by being in a low-touch space. And at the end of the day, it is a canvas of opportunities if you and your business is prepared for it. So I'd like to go back to today and just gonna say that it's been a heck of a year, and just in a blink of an eye, it's almost 2021. And this is the point of the year where us business leaders, we look back and we see what's happened, we reflect, we look sideways and we see what others are doing. And then after that, we look forward to see what we can do for ourselves and our companies moving forward into the next year. And taking a step back, I think everything changed on the 7th of April when circuit breaker kicked in, right? And from that time, we started working from home. I remember the first day itself, I had prepped up my table, bought some roses, put it up. And the first thing that happened in the morning was a Slack conversation. I was relatively excited at that point, and I was also quite happy to be working from home because that's what we had always wanted, right? And I started brewing my first pot of coffee in 5 years. But one thing led to another, one call led to another, and we would go to this phenomenon called Zoom fatigue, right? It could be Zoom, it could be Hangout, it could be a WebEx call. It all added up, and then we all had Zoom fatigue. Now, what does that mean? We went through a forced optimization of low touch, and along the way, we had benefited from the efficiencies gathered, and by now, we had enabled ourselves with what we call remote mastery or virtual mastery, which means if you had adopted this from day one, you would have been quite used to it by now. And moving forward, it might be a normal way of working, right? We might be working through screens more conveniently from here on because we are now trained for it. But again, things are changing. There's a new normal around health measures. There's a new economy that has been created, which is the low touch economy. This has impacted spending behavior across the consumers. And at the end of the day, there's a behavioral change, right? Our customer needs have evolved from what they were 6 months ago. And if you take a step back and you look at the industries that are affected, the food industry is on the rise. Virtual entertainment is on the rise. Technology businesses are on the rise. They are all making money. If you look at the companies that have been affected in a negative manner, it would be from the fashion, automotive, luxury goods, where people are spending less. And if you look towards the red on the bottom right hand corner, there you go, tourism and travel. I think this is quite obvious. But let's take again another step back. When we spoke with 12 Singaporean tech companies last week, they all claim to have benefited from this pandemic. So there's a silver lining that has affected their business. Why is this? Because they have already been digital. They were able to work in a low touch manner really quickly. And based on these two factors, they could work remotely, and that helped with productivity, lesser travel time. Now, at the same time, tech products are in demand, resulting in new opportunities. And they are also able to stand out and move ahead and pave the way in front of the crowd in terms of the digitalization journey. Again, things are changing and the entire globe is moving low touch. And if you look at this piece of article published 3 weeks ago, is that nearly 75% of Singaporean firms are accelerating digitization. So that's the trend, right? And it's somewhat true, this gag that we see all over LinkedIn is that the one thing that led most companies towards digital transformation is the COVID-19, the pandemic. So which brings me to the first trend. As a business, in order to survive or in order to grow and thrive, we need to go low. When I say low, I mean low touch. And in order to do that, you need to be digital and you need to be available for your users. So first takeaway, go digital to expand your reach and efficiency. And you'll see that companies like Deliveroo, we engage with them multiple times a week. If you look at even Michelin star restaurants, right, they are also going low just to continue business continuity and continue growing. So this is Adept, 3 Michelin star in Singapore. I think they are in National Gallery. And what they have enabled since the circuit breaker era is that they now do a degustation meal for you at home. So that's a manner of low touch. Now, the moment you have gone low touch, you need to make sure that the experience that you create is a big experience, right? So we go low and then we go big. And in order to do this, why you to do this is because we want to make it real. We want to bring that high touch feeling to our customers, right? Imagine this digital experience that we make. It is digital, it's low touch. We need to make sure that it feels big. And you will see that this is being done by companies like the Art Basel. I think this is in Germany, where they canceled the live auctions. But in order to overcome that problem, they created online viewing rooms. And this has actually enabled them to get more audience to their auction houses, which means they can sell more, they can bid more. If you look at a company like DBS, instead of having a real life face-to-face conference, they had created this virtual one for DBS Asian Insights, and their take to it was to make it more than just a call. What they had enabled was a panoramic event lobby where users could log in from anywhere in the world. So again, they're attracting more audience. And what they had enabled the audiences to do is come into this virtual space, and they tried to make it as real as possible from the comfort of the homes. That's another idea. And if we look at furniture, right? Furniture has always been deemed a very high touch activity where you need to go to the store showroom, you need to touch, you need to feel, you need to sit down and see if that's the right one. Now, what this company Grafang has done, and they are located in Funan Mall, is that they had brought their entire showroom to the digital space, which means it accommodates for virtual browsing, right? So this is going to be a new trend that's going to take place. People will want to find you virtually, experience you virtually before making the effort to come into your shop if you're a high-touch business. Brings me down to the third point. As companies, we need to pivot, and we need to continue expanding our offerings to existing customers based on their new needs. And we need to do this around our core vision. Let's talk a little bit about that. We look at Zouk, which is Singapore's clubbing scene, right? They have pivoted from a dance club to a spinning class, which targets their existing users, and also a cinema at night. And at the same time, I think they've got a restaurant as well. So what's happening here, because they cannot operate as a dance club, what they do is they have moved from entertainment into healthcare and targeting their existing customers. That's what Zouk is doing. And if you look at the sector that is hit the most, Traveloka has predicted to break even in 2021, even if the sector recovers to 50% of the pre-COVID levels. And how do they do that? They start to pivot their business, they start to diversify their business. And in this case, they grew outside of travel, and they expanded into virtual activities. They have expanded into a lifestyle platform, and they have a new digital payment service and a new financing service. Now, this is all based on the new customer needs and behaviors. And this is my favorite company. I think we all know what brand this is, but basically, pandemic has not affected their deliveries, right? If you look at it, they are delivering this at the same pace, selling at the same rate as if the pandemic was never there. And this actually segues nicely into the last theme, or the last trend that we feel is going to take the low touch economy by storm, is that by going low touch, you are now able to take advantage of the virtual space, and you can design anything. And you can, with this designing of anything, you can tell any story, and you can position your product for the market's new use cases. So what does that mean, right? If we look at Instagram, you'll see that not only big companies are doing this, small companies, for example, like Sasha's Fine Foods, they are repackaging their existing products. Like on the left, it's a burrata. In the middle, they package their raw meats as a beautiful meal of rendang. And on the right-hand side, you see that they take all these raw meats and they just lay it out, and they design it so beautifully. And what does this do? It asks you to buy it. And if you can browse this on Instagram and you can buy it in 2 taps, I'm pretty sure at some point we are bored enough to all do this from our homes. So designing, right? Design makes an important aspect to selling. And last but not least, another industry that has been hit pretty bad, which is SENSE, S-E-N-S-E. What they have done is they sell high-end luxury goods, but they don't sell it like any other company. They package it around editorial content in a quirky way to speak with their target audience. So long story short, we are in the era of act fast and plan hard. Otherwise, if we don't grow, we get outpaced in the end. That's a point of view that we have at Aleph. Now, taking a step back, just a quick recap. The 4 trends that we had identified. Number 1 is going low touch. We need to be available for our customers, and we need to be digital to expand our reach and efficiency. Second one will be around making big experiences in the digital space. And by doing so, we need to make it familiar. We need to bring the high touch values into the digital experiences. And then quickly pivot fast, diversify your offerings around the new customer needs and around your company's core vision. And lastly, design and style it so that it engages people and it's able to tell a story and position yourself in a unique manner in the virtual space now that you've gotten the new reach. So this is in a nutshell the 4 trends that we have picked up. And along the way, we have also created a beta canvas, and we call this the growth canvas. It's a beta version there, and we can actually use this to strategize our company focus, relearn our customers, and then design our new products. I'm just going to go through really quickly. At the end of this, we will be able to download this. There's a QR code that you can scan. But first step that you need to do in order to create a stimulus to discuss and move into 2021 is identify your North Star, strategize your focus. So what you do is you identify what your company North Star is, you look at what your company is really good at, which is the superpowers, and you look at what the kryptonite of your company is. And just a quick mock over here based on some fictional ideation at Aleph. Our North Star is always creating iconic experiences. We need to utilize our superpowers, which is that we are really good in the financial services space. We're really good at design thinking, so we need to utilize that a lot more. And we're really good at agile tech deliveries, and we need to utilize that a lot more. Now, what we need to overcome is a problem within the company is that we need to be able to scale faster than the demand that we have. So this is a sample. Second one is how to relearn our customers. So over here, I think what we do is we want to empathize, we want to identify, and we want to research what our new customer behaviors are. So what we can do is identify their needs, which is on the right-hand side, think about what delights them, and also think about what the pain points are. And as you're doing this exercise, I think focus on the existing customers, but think in a low-touch manner or a digital manner. So here's a quick sample, right? Customers always need on-time, high-quality deliveries. Their pain points are misaligned teams from different maturities, and what delights them is to be led and then have a fun working relationship. So you create all these sticky notes, you write it down, you jam with your teams internally, and then at the end of the day, you can create your 2021 strategy. But the last step will be around how to design your product. And for the design part, we have 3 sections that we look at. Number 1 is the strategy. Number 2 is design. And lastly, the story. And what we do from this point is you can tell the world your story. Like, for example, for us, we would say that we were born in Singapore in 2006. We have a borderless culture. So really capitalize on the making of or the story. If you're a sustainable company, talk about sustainability. If you are a really hip and young company, talk a lot more about it. And then the strategy to communicate this could be on social media, like when we saw in Instagram, or we can even create immersive digital experiences like Grafunk did. And lastly, once you have got your story, once you've got your strategy, I think the last one is to think about the image. How do you want to position yourself as? You can be the young and hip one, you could be the high-tech one, you could also be the sustainable one. So really think about how to illustrate those capabilities in the virtual space so that everyone can appreciate that. So I think that brings us to the end of this conversation. Thank you so much for listening. If you're really keen on downloading that worksheet, please feel free to scan this QR code. I think the team can also share this on the end. But otherwise, there are also a lot of other design thinking and learning courses in NTUC. I think the team will also be posting these URLs in the chat room. So please feel free to click through and engage with NTUC on this one. So thank you so much for listening. If you are a company looking to jam together, this is my contact. And let's look forward into a bigger, better 2021. Thank you all very much.
All right, can you see my screen? Okay, this is how I transform my company first. I using data first, like before we go for AI, blockchain, cloud computing, AI is and data. I will show to you how I derive my data from internet and with the help of NTUC. Then how I form my own company with all this. Okay, in about 16 years ago, in the year of 2004, I set up my company called Livespring Trading, where the Singapore-made water, drinking water, bottled water is called Live Spring. So this is where the problem starts. Later I'll tell you there's a clash with St. Nicholas Girls' School. They also come up with a trademark called Live Spring. So he also marketed in NTUC supermarket. So later we have some problem with them in the trademark infringement. So in 2006, I developed a fermented drinks product. Then AVA took off the product because it's not approved. So in 2007, St. Nicholas Girls' School have to remove the Live Spring bottled water for infringement of my company trademark, Live Spring. Then from there on, they did not, St. Nicholas Girls' School and NTUC did not develop this bottled water. I also did not further develop because there's some infringement of trademark and they also removed from the shelf. So from that onward, I developed other products. I went to Malaysia to convert reverse osmosis water, tap water into a mountain like spring water. But when we export to Singapore, all right, it was rejected because the water is from Kuantan. So they preferred to have water in JB. All right. Also, bottled water is a control item in Singapore. So at that time, I do not know a lot of things because we do not have the data with us. So the plant in Malaysia was burned down. All right. So I returned back to Singapore. So it's a series of failures of business attempt. So this is what is St. Nicholas Girls' School. This is a bottle that they have infringed the trademarks. So they launched this product without finding out. Live Spring is a trademark. It's already trademarked by my company. So this is AVA. This is my unsold bottle of kombucha. All right, it is posted in internet. You can search from internet about kombucha. This is published in newspaper. So it's a failure of my inventions. So a series of inventions, I really ground zero in my life. So I pivot my business. I attended CDC and NTUC E2I. All right, they asked me to. At first, they asked me to attend a resume workshop to find a job. So from here, they find that my core competence is there. And after a series of a lot of workshops, learning, finally, they come to a point, they asked me why not to start an entrepreneur course. So I signed up the Startup Accelerator program. All right, then it was advised by NTUC. They said, why not sign a Startup Accelerator program? So at that time, the cost is 23,000, government subsidized 22,000, and we get an allowance of 3,000. So I decided to sign up this Startup Accelerator program. So this Startup Accelerator program comes with a package of setting up new companies. So it's very good. So right now in the current market, all the accelerator program do not have set up company, but this one has. So this is in 2017, I set up this company. Then I go for IP Value Lab, which is under Ministry of Law. They audit my business technology, the intangible assets. So I do not have all the data. The data that the ministry have is in IP Value Lab and also Enterprise Singapore. So without data, we do not know what's happening in the world and what is the direction should I go. So finally, Enterprise Singapore and IP Value Lab helped me to introduce me to EWTCUI, Center of Innovation in Indian Polytechnic, to further develop my technology. Now, this is the Startup Accelerate program. Lasted three months. Program is in 2017, August. So after I finished this course in August, I set up my company. And in 2018, July, I got audited by the I got my intangible asset audit by IP value lab. It's very important to get this IP value lab audit because they're able to help you to find the right data, right information, and guide you along. And this is the intangible asset audit that I have. The know-how, if you see over there in the first row, there's 7 bar. All right, I get 5 bar. Not bad. 5 bar is considered good already. All right, at that time it's only a demo set. So EWT, COI, they will push through 1 more bar for me after they develop my prototype. So my branding, my company is called Pro Health Water Technology. So there's no brand. The brand is trademark is very bad. So actually it's 2. Actually, and also the branding of LifeSpring actually was quite a good branding, but there's clashes with a lot of parties at that time when we clashes with trademark. We St. Nicholas Girls School, NTUC, OCBC, MP, and my company that I'm involved. There's multiple companies. So at that time, the data is not available. We do not know how to collaborate among ourselves. All right, so right now, the last row I can see overall, they consider my intangible asset is 4/7. So it's considered good. So I also, these are the things, I attended courses, training courses by Lytton. All these courses help me to find informations from the data, all right, to make sales and market needs, especially digital marketing and so on, all right, and how to use technology to develop your business model. Because mine is a water technology, it can develop into many innovations. So this is the data from Wuhan. This is Enterprise Singapore provide us the information. They asked us to go to Wuhan. That one was before the COVID-19. So they say Wuhan is the best out of 500 cities. From the data, Wuhan is the right place, right city that we should go. We must go there. All right. So after I go there, the virus happened, not because I go there. All right. So just things happen in this way. All right. So data from Enterprise Singapore is a reliable resource. Now, these are the data from NTUC LearningHubs which I learned from. And surprisingly that NTUC LearningHubs, one of the courses I learned is a cross-border payment. This cross-border payment is very important is because there's a lot of scam outside. And a lot of scam money that are using startup company, youngster, those who are experienced or even experienced people, they can come up with a lot of ambiguous even contracts to scam you. So so after I attending NTUC LearningHub, the cross-border payment, so I start to learn how to identify ambiguous cases of money laundering. So this course, cross-border payment, is funded by Institute of Banking and Finance. All right, so this course normally financial costs are very, very expensive. So I'm very surprised at that time I just signed out. NTUC LearningHub, they provide a very, very comprehensive accounting costs and financial costs at a very low cost. Very low cost. So I signed up and I learned about all the accounting practices. These are all the data. So I check with all the data from all this training material. I validate with some of the food consultant. They say this data is correct. So if you want to start anything from any business or even you want to run your business, all right, NTUC LearningHub is a place where you can find the right data. Okay, besides NTUC LearningHub, I also use Kickstarter to do crowdfunding. to stack up my machine. On your left, you can see my Pro Health Water system in Ngee Ann Polytechnic. It converts tap water into mineral waters. So from here, we can see the behavior of Asia and Western culture. So from here,
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. So sorry for the technical challenges. I think Mr. Chew is facing some difficulties connecting, so please do give him a while he tries to reconnect back. In the meantime, please hang on. Thank you so much, and apologies for any inconveniences caused. Ladies and gentlemen, please give us a while more while we are trying to reconnect with Mr. Chew. In the meantime, for those who have not completed or have not attempted to complete the survey, our PME Employment Opportunities and Skills Development PME survey, please do so. I've just shared the link in our chat box.
yeah, I think the connection is not so good. So let me continue.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chew is currently back, so please give us a couple of minutes for him to settle, and his screen is currently, yes, he's ready to go. All right, thank you so much. Mr. Chew, over to you.
Okay, thanks for your patience. I also use Carousel to try out to sell a Pro Health muffin. All right, so from Carousel, they have analytics reports. So they're able to advise me what to do. Is my price higher from the data generated from Carousel? They also can advise me on how to position my pricing and find the right audience for me. So from data from agriculture, my technology have been adopted by agriculture. We can convert tap water into seawater for rearing seawater fish. So sea bass from St. John Island, the seawater from St. John Island, the seawater from East Coast and seawater from Lim Chu Kang are all of different parameters. So we can adjust all this. So what we can see is first we start with all the data collections. We have a standard water quality for fish. All right, so we collect all the data and we can find out what is, we have some insight into what went wrong in the water. Without all these data collections, compared with the standard, we are not able to find out how to solve the mortality rate of water from Lim Chu Kang seawater. So there's seawater is different in different part of Singapore. So yeah, thanks. So these are the things that I encounter. I use data. Right now, how to bring data to AI? This one is different level of difficulties. I'm going to bring this technology to NTU, where they have AI systems to further give me more insight to pivot my business model into different types of innovations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chew. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Chew.
So for higher level of management, I encourage you to take blockchain payment, cross-border payment, because as a management, there's a lot of financial data which sometimes can be unrealistic, very confused. So as a management level, where they deal with financial data, there's a lot of data which if you are not careful, you can land out your whole company in deep trouble.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chew, for sharing with us. Thank you so much. I'm sure many of us here will be inspired after hearing from your stories. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have heard from our previous speakers on topics such as AR, big data, and how to transform companies in a low-touch economy, plus we've also just heard Mr. Chew on his success story. So it is time now for us to find out how NTUC can help you and your companies. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our last speaker for the afternoon before we deep dive into our panel discussion. She's none other than Ms. Jenaline Low. She's Director of the Institute of Business Excellence and Healthcare Economic Academy from NTUC LearningHub. Jenaline has over 28 years of corporate experience, and her industry sector exposures includes semiconductor, infocom technology, training and educations, healthcare services, and renewable energy. And she also serves as a board member for several private and non-profit organizations. So without further ado, I'll hand the floor over to Ms. Low. Over to you, please.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Eric. Are you hearing me good? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Allow me to just take a moment to share screen. Okay, so are you able to see my screen? Good. Okay, good afternoon to all our speakers that come before me, as well as to the moderator, Eric, and all our friends from the various companies. I presume most of you would be from companies, but even if you're not, I believe this will be useful for you. Yeah. Okay, so I'm very inspired by what Mr. Chew has shared. It's really that never dying entrepreneur spirit that will try it again and again. And today in this situation that we're in pandemic, that is the spirit we need to have. It's not just about entrepreneurship. It's really about resilience, about agility, and about the willingness to just keep trying. So for now, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to just share about how NTUC may be able to help and support companies. A little bit about who we are. For some of you who may not know NTUC Learning Hub, we have been around for about 15 years now. We'll be celebrating our 16th year next year. And we were incorporated in 2004. NTUC Learning Hub used to be a department in NTUC corporate itself, the HQ. And in 2004, it was deemed that there's really a need to expand the training capabilities of NTUC in order to meet the demands of the workforce. At that time, a lot of it was around literacy and in both language literacy and IT literacy. And that time is computer literacy, not digital literacy as we are facing today, right? And 15 years has passed, and today, just in this year, 2020, we will be delivering over 250,000 training places. And that is a lot of training places. We are probably one of the biggest training providers in Singapore. And we have more than 600 certified trainers. Many of our trainers are all adjunct trainers. And we have 5 centers right now, and we are looking at adding a few more in the next months and a year ahead. We have a lot of courses, but actively being promoted and being delivered is about 500 courses. And more new ones are added because in this pandemic situation and with the emerging technologies and skills, there are more new programs that need to be added. And we have served more than 5,000 organizations per year. In total, we have probably served 15,000 organizations by now. So we do not work alone because we can't be everything everywhere, and we have mastery of everything. So we do work with a lot of partners, and in fact, our strategy going forward is really about collaboration. So in the soft skills, in this morning, we have heard my colleague Brian talk about the Worker 4.0 and having the need for adaptive skills, technology skills, and technical skills. So in the adaptive skills space, we have quite a number of partners. John Maxwell, we partnered them for leadership. Wiley and Cotter, we partnered them for change management and some of the emerging skills like design thinking, etc. And then we have our HR pillar partners, Strom and CIPD. Of course, we work with IHRP as well. And we also work with A-Star in the space of productivity, process, lean, and I'll talk a little bit later about the newest, which is OTR, operation and technological road mapping. In the technology space, we really have a lot of partners. I will not go through them, but our goal is very simple. We want to bring the best of technology and skill sets training to our workforce. And therefore, being NTUC, we have the ability to connect and to collaborate. So we go out there and look for the best in class, and we bring them in to benefit our workforce. So who do we serve as our clients? We have the corporations. We have what we talk about CTC companies. It was mentioned this morning as well. We, of course, we are going to focus a lot on the SME, especially going into 2021. We have unique groups that we serve as well, like Women Back to Work, and we also serve in this very difficult climate. We know we are looking at the unemployed, the freelancers, and so unique groups which have unique needs that we are looking at. And then we, of course, serve the individuals who are looking at upgrading themselves or looking into a change of midlife career, etc. So from our experience, especially in the last 12 to 24 months, we have learned and grown so much compared to the last many years because of the pandemic. And we are seeing an inflection happening, and we are seeing that training, learning, all that is really transitioning into quite a different space and a different methodology altogether. So as we serve our clients, we have witnessed some common challenges in achieving training effectiveness, right? So before training, what we have discovered is that sometimes there is alignment of training needs to business strategy, right? So it's really about being able to understand that at the end of the day, human capability development is about growing the business and about achieving your business objectives. But we do see that there may be some alignment there that is not worked through. The other area that we saw is that there's a lack of L&D competency to identify skills gaps and to develop training plans. So many a times we do have, we work with companies and they wanted to have some kind of skills training, but we would usually take a step further and say, what is it that we are really trying to achieve? It's really to dig in and to ask a few more questions. What we do is that we use a design thinking methodology behind that to empathize, to discover, and to understand a little bit more for our client what are their needs before we kind of put forward a training proposal. There is also in recent times, especially when we talk about career transition and job enlargement, we also understand that many companies are not equipped to look into job enlargement and job redesign. And in this season, we are very focused on this space, helping organizations to look into their job redesign as part of the business transformation journey. The next area is that there's a lack of focus on emerging skills to support business transformation. Today, many organizations, as we observe, are very much still focused on equipping the employees for today's jobs and today's skills. That is very important, definitely, but there's also a need to look a little bit ahead and look at the emerging skills as well. So we have a few frameworks that we're putting together to help organizations to look at how to balance and how to look at your current skills, but as well as incorporating your emerging skills. Some of the programs that are very popular that we are equipping now is in the space of agile innovation, in the space of design thinking. We launched some program even in the space of business model canvas, and these are also very popular. So during the training, some of the challenges we see is really in the space of operational constraints, whereby staff are not coming forth for training because of the inability to take time off from work. So there is really a need to rethink what is important, because sometimes it's a chicken and egg problem, right? You need the staff to do certain things or increase productivity, improve performance, but yet the staff just didn't have time to go for training. So what does that mean? And we also have cases where communication internally may not be as complete as it should be, and that we have learners in the class who may not be even knowing why they're there. So that is very key. The staff needs to understand why they're in the training, because it's part of the development and part of the progression as well. And then, of course, in this very difficult pandemic situation, we have to move a lot of the training online to virtual learning, and we encounter issues with language and issues with digital proficiency. And after training, also, we are seeing some challenges, right? We have a low learning retention, as we know, on the Patrick's 4 levels of learning effectiveness. We know that in the past, a lot of measurement has been done at level 1 and level 2, but today organizations are looking at it very differently. Effectiveness has to go higher to level 3 and level 4. But there's a whole lot of work around it to bring it to that level. It's not just about the training in the classroom, it's beyond the walls of the classroom. So the low learning retention is also an issue, right? And we know there's this thing called a forgetful curve, that in 72 hours after you have learned a skill, and if you do not apply it or use it at all, you slowly lose up to 90% of what you have learned. And that is very key, because you're investing in training, but you're not getting the return. And there's also the lack of support, feedback, and encouragement when the skills are applied back in the workplace. So what is the environment in the organization that will help the learners to apply their knowledge and be able to benefit the organization? And finally is the lack of measurable impact, which I just talked about, how to measure level 3 and level 4. So I just want to quickly, in the interest of time, jump into a couple of the programs that we have, and then I'm going to just wrap it up with a new framework that we'll be launching next year. So we work with A-Style to offer operations technology road mapping, which we call OTR. NTUC has been on this for the last half or 1 year already, working with many companies in this space. And this is basically helping organizations, as it was also mentioned this morning, to help them look into their business transformation. It's like, where your business today, is it sustainable? Is it going on an upward trend or a downward trend? And from there, what must you do? So it is a 5 half-day workshops whereby that is mainly for the decision makers of the organization, the management team. And that's whereby you would go into the 5-hour sessions and really spend some time with a facilitator, is a trained consultant who would help you to think through in terms of products, services, process, and how you leverage on emerging technologies, or isn't there even a need to pivot into adjacent businesses or something totally different? And you look into how you plan your resources around that. And then you also look at how to link up and be able to perhaps work with some organizations to help you on this journey. So this is a program that we will be focusing a lot on to help organizations to pivot, to transform, and to sustain themselves. A big part of it will be with the SME as well as we go forth. As we know, in Singapore, a large part of our workforce and our companies are in the SME space. So this is one of them. If you need more information, we have them on our website, and also you can write to us. The next thing, as I mentioned earlier, is that we work with CIPD to provide job redesign master classes, both in learning how to go into job redesign as well as consultation sessions in the implementation support. So there is a workforce planning masterclass of 2 days, followed by a job analysis and redesign masterclass of 2 days. And then over a period of 2 or 3 months, there will be about 3 consultation sessions to help you roll out some of these job redesigns that we have identified in the workshop. And then for finally, this is what I'm talking about that we are looking to roll out. We provide a L&D as a service to assist companies with the before training challenges. So what we are doing here is that we understand that not many organizations, especially in the SME space, are able to afford your own L&D capabilities in-house. And therefore, we are positioning ourselves as our source L&D service in order to help you look at the requirements gathering around the training needs, the gap analysis, and some level of training solutions consultancy, perhaps for the bigger organizations. And also, I talk about alignment of business strategy to training requirements. And if there's a need, we will look into strategic planning workshops through facilitation to help develop your business strategic imperative. It could be there already, but it's to crystallize it and to how to align it to your workforce plan and leading to your competency maps as well as your training plans. And of course, we will look into the training solution itself. And this is whereby we are moving towards, it's probably very familiar with many of you, the 70-20-10 L&D learning model, whereby 10% is in the classroom, 20% is social learning, and 70% is actually workplace learning. So we are encouraging organizations to move towards this model of learning and not just 2 days or a 1-day workshop. And from there, today's learning, as we know, there's both synchronous and asynchronous. We talk about in-person learning in the classroom. We talk about virtual live class, right? And we also talk about asynchronous learning, whereby there's e-learning, there's bite-sized learning, and to some extent, there may be social learnings with online groups, or in some cases, people are already starting to practice community or practice whereby we really share and grow together in learning. And then the last is that we believe that learning should be sustained. The knowledge that's learned, whether through synchronous or asynchronous, should be applied and should be able to create business impact for the organization. So with that, I just have a last slide here, and what we're saying here is that I'm really hoping that organizations will consider. It's not an easy journey to get on, because to go into a 70-20-10 learning model, you basically have to invest in how you structure your L&D or how you structure your human capital development, because there is a need for mentoring and coaching after a learner comes back from a workshop in the classroom. And from there, there is also need to be used to be called OJT, on the job training, but today is a bigger word that's called workplace learning, and how you build that whole program around your learners so that they are able to internalize what they've learned, apply it, and create impact for the organization. So this is not something that LearningHub as a training provider is able to do it for the organization. It takes 2 hands to clap, and this is whereby LearningHub or any other training provider for that matter needs to work closely with employers to be able to bring this to pass, a 70-20-10 learning model. And around this, of course, will be wrapped with all the digital platform technologies, right? Your LMS and your other, types of systems that in fact we are also in the space of building all that to be able to create a seamless learning environment going forward. So that's all I have for now. And if you want to contact us or have more information, there's a QR code on the screen and you can just take a snapshot of it and you can contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Low. Thank you so much for your precious insights. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure some of you would have some burning questions waiting to be answered for our speakers in the earlier session. So without much delay, I'd like to welcome back the speakers back for the panel discussion. First of all, we have Mr. Eric Lim, Sales Director, SoftBank Robotics Singapore. Mr. Ang Boon Wen, Design Director and Chief Opportunity Officer from Aleph. Mr. Chew Soo Yan, Founder of ProHealth Water Technologies. And of course, Ms. Jenaline Low, Director of the Institute of Business Excellence and Healthcare Academy from NTUC LearningHub. Before we proceed with the panel discussion, may I welcome our moderator for today's discussion, Ms. Evelyn Poh. She is the NTUC Assistant Director from USME. Evelyn, over to you.
Thank you, Eric. I hope that everybody can hear me. Or should I increase the volume? Okay, I think that's a good. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. I believe that you have a quite good session. We currently have two questions that is addressed to Mr. Chew. Perhaps we can get Mr. Chew to help to answer them. Okay, just allow me to come and share some of the questions. The first question is from Kenny to ask Mr. Chew the question that what are the problems due to overuse of technology to human life? Yeah, Mr. Chew, could I trouble you to answer this question? The impact on human life due to the overuse of technology.
The overuse of technology is the technology is hidden. You can't see physically. All right. What can be seen is called engineering and science. So, if overuse of technology, if end up to somebody who is bad, or you may be good, but when you share with the technology, they can use it for bad use. So, if overuse of technology, you can't control the use of technology. That's like 5G. It can be used for good. It also can be used for bad. So overuse of technology, what is the danger in human? They can use for dark web, a lot of scam job, financial fraud. It also can use AI to come up with new patterns, new insight, a new way of calling people. These are all the overuse of technology.
Yeah, I hope this answered the question by posted by Kenny. I think there's also another question from Vivian who wanted to ask that what is the course that you attended on regarding reading of financial statement? Maybe you can share with the participants the course that you have attended and how it benefit you.
The financial statement I attended, which that's how I showed to you, is not a financial course. It's a F&B, how to run a business, monitoring income and expenses. And F&B, they calculate the cost of, let's say, one plate of chao kway teow, how much is the cost. And I've calculated, I want to set out a bento set selling online because people want to tapao, right? Bento set makes sense, right? So I calculate. Initially, I thought that the figure given by all the cost material maybe is may not be it's not unrealistic. It's unrealistic, but later I checked around with all the food consultant and real person. The data provided is accurate, and all the financial figure actually you can find in F&B. There's a course in NTUC LearningHub. It's called Running an F&B Business. They have a very good financial presentation. All right, no need to take an MBA course. Just sign up NTUC LearningHub. You'll be on the right track of doing your financial. Don't follow too many American textbook. It work in America, it doesn't work in Singapore context. So NTUC is really contextualize the financial presentation in Singapore local context. So you won't have problem with IRAS, right? Or property tax or income tax.
Thanks, Mr. Chew. Hope they had answered the questions posted by both Tierney and Vivian. And there's a question that right now is addressed to Jenaline. I think Kwang Wee has wanted to us to say that there seems to be many overlaps with SkillsFuture Singapore and NTUC LearningHub. He wanted to know that what's the difference and then how he can make the best of both. So Jenaline, can I leave you to answer this?
Yes, okay. SkillsFuture.sg is an agency that provides funding for training, right? LearningHub is an authorized training organization as a part of SkillsFuture SG. There are many training organizations out there who are receiving funding from SkillsFuture SG in order for the training courses to be subsidized. But on top of that, I just also wanted to say that, so in other words, SkillsFuture.sg doesn't deliver training. They are a funding agency. Right? We are the ones that deliver training, and our programs are funded by SkillsFuture SG. And having said that, I also want to add to this that not all the information that I shared earlier is funded under SkillsFuture SG. There are several agencies in Singapore who is very involved in today's climate, in helping workers to train, retrain, and to help them to transit into different careers or to upgrade. Another organization is WSG, right? Workforce SG, and they are also looking into funding, but the funding comes in different form. SkillsFuture SG funds strictly training most of the time, right? There are different projects, but WSG funds projects as well. Some of which is familiar for you is professional conversion program, where you move from one type of profession to another. And there's also a third funding agency called ESG, Enterprise SG. Enterprise SG looks at helping company in the funding. So when I talk about OTR, Operational Technology Road Mapping just now, that program is funded by Enterprise SG. So there are different bodies who are funding. So what an easy way, I think, for most organizations and individuals is to, you can get the information from the agency website, but ultimately come to the training provider like LearningHub, and we'll be able to advise you which are the programs that you can look into or what solutions. And then if we don't have that particular expertise of that domain, we will share with you where else to go to. For example, Mr. Chew, he went to Lytton, right? Lytton is they do the enterprise, the startup accelerator program, which we do not have. But we know that Lytton Academy has it, and so we have directed. So that's how it works in the whole ecosystem. I hope that answers the question.
Yep, Kwang, I hope that this answer your questions. Yeah, looks like it's good. Okay, I think is there any other questions that we have from the participants from the floor? Feel free if you want to speak, you can raise your hand or you can type in the group chat, and then we will ask the panelists to answer the questions. If not, then we can start to ask Eric. Eric from SoftBank. Hi, Eric.
Hey, hello. Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
hi. Yeah. So maybe perhaps we can start the ball rolling to ask you some questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that.
Yeah. Yes, we understand that while the COVID-19 has impacted the business imperative to digitize, so what are the risks and downside of such rapid transformation, and how do we mitigate such risk? Maybe you can share with us.
I think the most important thing that we need to address is the disparity in skill gaps. So as I mentioned, right, in my presentation earlier, technology solution is one aspect, but you also need the employer's mindset as well as the employee skill set to be ready. So my concern is that if there is a very high uptake of digitalization technology adoption, then there will be a much greater demand for relevant skill sets within the workforce, and there might be a trend of a disparity in the skills gap. So luckily we have training organization like LHub, but with a lot of the government initiative to educate and do continuous learning. But you also need to further emphasize the promotion of lifelong learning, right? And it needs to be a two-way thing. It's not a provider providing it, but the potential audience also need to receive it. They need to inculcate this behavior. So I think that's one skill gap in this skill gap disparity. The second thing is this is not a new problem. It has always been a problem in the market. But right now, the tolerance of the tolerance is much lower because the urgency is much higher, and the need for being able to get the skill gap solved and up to speed and implemented in the market. I think that's a short window that we really have right now. So a lot of the economists are talking about there's a potential of a very steep recovery, right? Of course, this is something that we will never know until it happens. But if a steep recovery does happens, and we see that a lot of consumers do the revenge spending, revenge traveling, revenge consumption, if it happens, right, then you can imagine a sudden surge in the market for employers looking for skilled employees. And if there are not enough skilled employees that can accommodate what they are doing, right, then we will still have cyclical unemployment problem. So yeah, that's my personal view.
Thanks, Eric. Just now we saw how Poon Wen brew his coffee on the first day working from home. And then maybe Poon Wen can share with us that how would the phase 3 reopening of the economy, how will it change the business prospect for businesses in Singapore? Yeah.
Right.
Maybe
thank you
there'll
so
be
much for the question.
less coffee sales might go down because you can go out for more cafes, all these things to more cafes.
Yes and no. I think my point of view is that when phase 3 happens, and this is eventual for the rest of the world as well, I think that there will be normalization moving forward. But when normalization happens, it's going to be in the format of a hybrid model, which means companies are starting to get used to working from home, as well as meeting up for meetings and the occasional chit chat at work, right? So when phase 3 opens up, I do foresee that the hybrid model kicks in, where we are empowered to work from home through technology and low touch functions, but still meet up. So coffee will be consumed in two formats from there on, right? People who feel like it can do it from home. But if they need to connect and meet up as well, and I don't think we need phase 3 for that, it's already happening in today's workforce, they can meet up as well. It's a new way that we're going to behave in, and you will see that companies are opting to work from home, and at Aleph as well, we are also reimagining the workspace, right? What is the new studio or workspace like in the future? Is it going to be a cafe model? Because I don't think we are all going to have a permanent seat reserved moving into the 2021.
Thanks, Poon Wen. Okay, we have a question by Chi Wen to Eric. Yeah, Eric, she would like to know to check if if SoftBank do sell any ready-made robot with Q&A, temperature taking, sensor functions in Singapore, and also if your robot allows for customization of software on user end, such as to add any
Okay,
I guess
thanks for giving me the chance
by
to
all the robots that you shared just now.
Thanks for giving me the chance to make an advertisement. But to answer it is yes, we do have such a product, but I will not take the airtime to advertise on my products. Yeah, but so to reach out to us through our contact page, and we'll be happy to address you. By the way, that's Pepper. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, thanks Eric for the quick reply. Okay, I think we any other questions that we have? Yeah, okay. If not, then I think I have to continue to ask some of you the questions. Perhaps we can check with Mr. Chew to see what are
Yes.
the lessons that you think we can draw from the pandemic from a business perspective, and what are the silver linings from this pandemic. Mr. Chew, maybe you can share with us first before we ask the rest of the panelists.
This pandemic is a rare opportunity for the whole Singapore to be transformed into a smart nation, because all the while government try to transform, Singaporeans are not so really to be transformed, right? So the transformer want us to be transformed. So this is a rare opportunity that we should take, especially we have so many funding for Skill Future, and with allowance, training allowance of 1,002 to 2,005. All right, so it's a good opportunity for us to make use of this opportunity. And this pandemic, we do not know how the world, but basically, if I check on internet, I mean YouTube they have some mathematical model of a virus that spread around the world. There's a mathematical model, all right, or burning trees, the mathematical model of spreading. So it's an exponential. I think it's a certain kind of mathematics called vector space. So it calculates that it's supposed to be 1 in 3 will get COVID, will get the virus, infection virus. Right now in America, it's 1 in 300, 380. So just a matter of time. Now is the first year. Maybe 1-2 years later, it will be go to 1 in 30, 1 to 3. So this pandemic may last for a few years. So we really have to take time and upscale ourselves. There's nothing much. The whole world has come to a standstill. So we stand still and learn something through Zoom. Just take out any course, keep yourself occupied, and identify new opportunities, especially in terms of agriculture and aquaculture, because the whole society has shifted. The whole society, we have been industrialized. Actually, we have gone back to agriculture society again. Thanks. No, I mean, doesn't mean that Singapore has become an agriculture country. It's not likely. It's a small part of, we are focusing on food security right now. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Chew. Yes, yes. Yeah, okay. There's a question that we just received from Lin, that she would like to check how much is the water if we buy those like Evian water, and then if your technology can ensure zero damage to the environment.
The cost of 1 bottle water is 1,000 times more expensive than tap water. All right, so tap water, the problem with tap water is there's a lot of, during the transportation, there's a lot of certain metal and certain cement is eroded into the tap water. So over a long-term period of accumulation of all this metal, it's not good for our body. So my concept is to convert tap water into mineral water. It takes me 20 years from 2004. It takes me 20 years to develop this technology. So right now, this technology can, the cost is of tap water is maybe 1 cent or 2 cents, but with this technology, it can convert to $1. So it's okay. It's quite a feasible, it's a breakthrough technology in water technology.
Thanks, Mr. Chew. I think the next question from Kwong Wee about Robots Nation, that should be addressed to Eric, I believe so. Yeah, because he would like to check whether when would the high take-up rate of robots in office most likely to happen, and then should the children be ready for it, and then what is the safe haven areas of expertise to embark on?
Okay, thanks for this interesting question. I think this is also very relevant to not just our children. It could be relevant to us already. So to start off, right, robotics implementation in the industrial world. So all the factories, all the fancy robots to make your BMW or Hondas. This is something that have already happened, and companies are doing it already. So think about it, right? Our last generation, they probably don't see it coming, but it's already something that happens. Now we are in the service robots or the collaborative robot, cobots to shop kind of era, whereby a lot of the solutions are implemented to work alongside human. So industrial robots you see in the factory, service robots you see out in the market. So we are in this era right now, and to be honest, the technology is getting so cheap, so fast, that I think we are not talking about our children's generation. We are talking about our generation. So it's happening much, much faster, and especially with the pandemic accelerated industry 4.0, right? I think this is going to be even more exponentially fast. So safe haven, I don't have a crystal ball with me. If I do, I'll probably not be here. but to share my 2 cents worth, right? There are areas that human can always be more superior compared to a robot. So things like cognition, things like creativity, things like soft skill. I don't think technology can reach a point whereby it's able to reply in a very contextual manner with empathy and with high context and with a lot of the localization in sentiments. So there is already a natural language processing engine, artificial intelligence engine, right, that can reply you things that are out of a textbook. Like, what is the color of apple? It can reply you red or green based on the dictionary or the compost that is designed for it. So that is already a given, but that is not a conversation, right? So a conversation is understanding you as a person and being empathetic about your feelings and to reply you in a very soft touch manner, soft skills manner. So this is definitely something that I don't see robots going to do it at this moment. So that's one. Then your cognition, being able to be creative, being able to innovate, that's also something that although the robot is going to be existing, but it can never replace, in my opinion. And last thing is trust. So there are technology out there that can do diagnosis of medical conditions, like looking at your X-ray, then you will be able to tell you, oh, what is the probability of this thing, etc., etc. But as patients, I still trust a human, right? And I still trust my doctor. So there are in areas whereby a high level of trust is needed. I think this is also something that is what we call quite safe, lah. My personal opinion. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric, for being able to answer such a complex questions into something that we can all understand. Yeah, maybe you also like to hear from Poon about some of those lessons that you think that can be drawn from this pandemic, from the business viewpoint, and then the bright spots from this whole pandemic.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you, Eve. I think in every situation, right, if we look at it from a strategic angle, and if we do our homework to research things properly, there's always an opportunity. So I think that what we look at is the first thing we do is we stop. We take a step back and we ask ourselves, what's the opportunity in this situation? Now, based on this, if you are a tech company, opportunities are abundant, and people actually desire all these new services that you can do. Having said that, if you are not, I think there's always an opportunity because the customers always need something. How can you quickly understand them based on their needs or based on their jobs to be done, right? And diversify or pivot to answer their needs. We looked at how Zook is doing that. We looked at how Adept 3 Michelin stars is doing that. We look at how Traveloka, which is not in the sweetest spot today, how they have managed to diversify. So the silver linings is that this situation is sort of forcing businesses to really quickly future-proof ourselves and adapt. I think it comes in the title of this, right? How can we quickly adapt to the situation? ask ourselves what's the opportunity here, and really quickly utilize agility and pivot. So what this actually enables us to do is to become a stronger business actually. And it is putting a lot of us to the test. But if you get through this, you come out a stronger operation, a stronger business, and it's good for everyone.
Thanks, Poon. Any other questions that we have from our participants? If not, then can I invite maybe Jenaline to give us a closing remark? Yeah. Yeah, Jenaline. I think you're still mute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Eve. Yeah. Yes. In my closing remark, I would just share a little bit of what Learning Hub ourselves went through. It surprises ourselves as well. I mean, the fateful day was 7th April 2020, where the lockdown started. And you can, I mean, in a training business, when the lockdown happens, when all your training are face to face, it means zero business. So our business went from 100% to 0% just overnight. So what does that mean? We before that happens, when we go into DOSCON Orange, we already start thinking ahead as to what potentially the worst case scenario may be, and we already started planning towards virtual live classes. So when that fateful day came along and lockdown happens, we pivoted overnight. So in a matter of 4 to 6 weeks, we went 100% virtual live class. And NTUC Learning Hub having so many programs, as I shared earlier, 500 over programs, few hundred over trainers, and we have to not only train them to be able to go onto virtual platform, but we actually have to change their mindset. I have to do so many rounds of so-called pep talk, session after session, to hold them by the hand and say that it is safe to jump into the trench. We will come out on the other side and we'll still be holding your hand. So we did that overnight, and over a number of weekends, we just train everybody. We train a few hundred trainers overnight so that they can all go in and deliver virtual live class. And at the end of about 6 weeks, we saw light at the end of the tunnel, and we resumed about 70% of our business just in a matter of 6 weeks. So I think what I am sharing here is that, like what Poon has said, when something unpleasant happens, there is a silver lining, there is an opportunity in there. So we need to learn to take a step back and think about what is the opportunity that we're seeing in that situation, and not to give up hope, to be very resilient, to persevere, and to make sure you bring your people along with you and hold them and encourage them. And as leaders, as we are, we have to be above all resilient, strong, positive, agile, and to be able to bring our teams forward. So I think for all organizations here, I just want to encourage everyone, just keep looking forward. Plan A doesn't work, look at plan B. Plan B doesn't work, look at plan C. That it will always be something that works. And in the midst of it, you may discover something more. So like for us at Learning Hub, I just want to share on this platform that we are actually doing better than before COVID. And that's what has happened for us. So be encouraged, go forward, and step into a new norm with a new mindset. And we will look forward to hearing more success stories out of the various participants here. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenaline. It's indeed, there's always opportunity in every crisis. So example that Mr. Chew has shared just now. So Mr. Chew, perhaps you have any closing remarks or sentence you could like to share with our participants today?
In this era, I think we must really harness data. All right, without data, you do not know where you come from, and you do not know where your company or you are going towards. So this is my parting words.
Thanks, Mr. Chew. I guess, Poon, you have anything that you can add on to this?
Not at all. I feel that it's an interesting space where we are at today, and things are going to get more interesting as we move into the into the near future, right? Because of this new behaviors, these new models. If we take a step back, look at things with a clear vision, supported by data, of course, like Mr. Chew just said, this will give us all the facts, all the answers on to how to grow exponentially, just like how Mr. Eric also said. So good times ahead. I think keep our heads down, and let's keep pushing this together. Thank you so much.
So we'll end yeah, thanks. We'll end the last comments from our first speaker, Eric. Perhaps if you'd like to say something.
Wow. Okay. I think yeah, Mr. Chew, Jenaline, Poon have shared some interesting insights. And I just want to share that COVID-19 has shown us how disruptive macro environments can be. But I came from a tech world, and we live and breathe disruption. So what I wanted to share is that there's a trait or there's a character that we learn, and we are always keen on disrupting, a positive disruption, and we are always keen on change. So change can actually be for the better. So let's always try to challenge ourselves to learn, to improve, and we can always be competitive like our forefathers do, right? They are always competitive in that aspect. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents worth.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Okay, thanks all the participants, the panelists for the interactive session. So can I now allow me to hand back to our host, Eric?
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have benefited from this afternoon session. For questions that are not answered, fret not, we'll have them consolidated and we'll have them answered in our post-event email. So please do remember to keep a lookout for it. If you wish to revisit today's content, please visit our NTUC membership Facebook page at a later date. The recording will be available for you to revisit and share it with your colleagues and friends. I've just shared the link, so please do a look out at the chat box. For details of other exciting bite-sized workshops, dialogues, and networking sessions, please keep a look out for our email as well. Or you can connect with us on our Facebook, LinkedIn, or simply just visit our website or drop us an email. The links are in the chat box as well. On behalf of NTUC membership and NTUC LearningHub, as well as the PME Task Force, a very big thank you to all our speakers, our guests, and of course to all our participants. We hope you have benefited from today's sharing, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead.